Hey, how you doing? My name is Joshua Johnson. I help traders across the world be able to maximize their profitability and take their trading to the next level. Now, today we'll be talking about the difficulties in scaling up and ways you can overcome that plateau that many traders find themselves in. So, today we're going to talk about what I mean by this plateau. Now, what is this plateau? Many traders get into trading and they improve themselves and get to a level of profitability where they feel like they're making good money. Um, but is not too much over their means, if that makes any sense. And you're making consistent money. You became profitable. You went through all your goals and stuff, and here you are. You're in this profitability stage within your trading, but you just can't seem to get to that next step. Let's say maybe you came comfortable making a few $1,000s a week. All right, that's fine. But every time either you try to scale up or you don't get to, that $10,000 a week range. Does that mean you're not capable of doing it? Or does that mean you just haven't gotten there? Many traders, if they're already profitable, have the skills in order to make tens of thousands a week or hundreds of thousands a week, no matter whatever your share size or lot size is. But the thing is, a lot of us don't take that leap, that jump, right? So listen, this is what I have to say. Why you maybe haven't taken that jump is because the pain of staying where you are is not painful anymore. You've gotten to profitability, you're making thousands of dollars a week, your bills are being paid, you probably had a nice car, whatever the case may be, you can go on a trip. So the pain of staying where you are, like when you first started, the pain of staying unprofitable, that pushed you to become profitable. But that same motivation is not in us anymore because we've made a few $1,000s a week. So now we can take the our foot off the gas pedal and chill out, right? That's one reason why a lot of us don't even go to the next level. One thing I might say with that is understand, why did you get into trading? Did you get into trading because you wanted consistent income like a 9 to 5? Or did you want the validity and the vast, limitless opportunities that come from trading, right? Nobody knows their potential. So why are you giving up now? Why are you putting on the brakes now once you finally got to profitability? Instead of looking at the monetary value, look at the putting on trades and be stressing yourselves when you're going to the gym. If you just keep doing the same weight, you're not growing, you're maintaining. The only way you continue to grow as a person, you don't know your capabilities until you put more. Progressive overload, same thing with trading. Scaling up just little by little, perfecting that. Scaling up little by little, perfecting that, right? All right, so next thing, trader, again, like I said, we get to stretch ourselves. You become in routine with doing this. Now, as humans, it's in our physiology to like routines and to do the same thing. And because everything we know is predictable. A lot of us don't like unpredictable events. You can't predict that. Oh, you want to know, if you get up in the morning, if I go in the bathroom, my toothbrush is in the bathroom. Right. When it's not, hey, my toothbrush. Right. So probably a bad analogy, but a lot of you get what I'm trying to say in that one. And then again, many of us remember how uncomfortable it was when we first started trading, feeling like a failure, feeling like we will never get to the other side. And once we got to the other side, we didn't want to go back here. Once we got to profitability, a lot of us don't want to be that dumb trader, as we called ourselves, or taking stupid losses and making ourselves feel like we're less than nothing. Nobody wants to go back there. And that is why a lot of traders shy away from scaling up, because they feel that once they lose a trade and scaling up and they lose a little bit more than they were intending to, you feel like a failure. You feel like, what am I doing? Let me stay in my ballpark. This is my range. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of us don't want to get back into feeling uncomfortable, but you have to feel uncomfortable in order to grow. That is with everything, not just trading, just in life. Being uncomfortable stretches yourself. It pushes out your weak spots. You get what I'm saying? And that's one point. I think I was reading the book, Psychology of Trading. Where is it at? Um, whatever case, it's not right here, but Psychology and Trading, and they were talking about how the manufacturing company, they had an assembly line, and with an assembly line, they were making cars, and the assembly line was going, at a slow speed. Everything was working good. Everything was working good at the slow speed, right? But in order to increase production, they ramped up the speed, or in order to know where they were doing bad. You can't know how to grow unless you know where you are going wrong. So what they did, they sped up the line to see what parts would go wrong first. Those are your weak spots. We are only as strong as our weak spots. And if we do not aim in order to grow our weak spots, we will stay in the same spot, right? Even if we continue to push on our good spots, if we never touch our weak spots, we're never getting from here. We can only get this, right? And we are only as good as the middle ground. We are only as good as how good our strengths are and how weak our weaknesses are. We are only good as in the middle. And if we continue to leave our weaknesses way back here, it is actually counterintuitive to keep working on your strengths if you never go to your weaknesses, right? So listen, so in our trading, a lot of us have emotional discipline when a lot of risk is not on, or we're in a risk tolerance where we built that tolerance up to that risk, right? Where we've been here for a while, we know we're in routine, you're making good money, consistent money, you know when you're going to get in, you know how much you're going to get. Hey, everything's fine, right? But once you do that, lost a train of thought. But that is how we grow. Really just lost my train of thought. I have no idea. But what I'm trying to say is let's go to the next point. Limiting beliefs on ourselves. A lot of us have limiting beliefs on ourselves that how high our potential is. You get into trading, you know that trading is limitless, right? But your thoughts are not limitless. Many traders' thoughts are not limitless. They think they are, but they're probably not. Many traders start to feel either some type of guilt or shame or some type of imposter syndrome when they see so much money coming into their account. If they feel like they're making too much, so they need to get out the trade because it's too much, right? You get this? Have anybody? Okay, maybe I'm stepping on toes, maybe I'm not. But listen, you said, well, I have to get out. Maybe my strategy is still working, but I feel like I've made too much money. I feel like too much money is coming into my account right now. Your limiting belief on how much money you should make is keeping you from getting over that level, right? You have to be able to say that, hey, if I work for this, if my strategy is working, trust my strategy, not the numbers behind the result that came from my strategy. And a lot of times with scaling up, we look at the numbers instead of our strategy. If we're following our strategy, hey, if we follow our strategy and it's only 20% played out, bro, but you're up bigger than you ever been, this might be a great trade, a breakthrough trade. There's nothing saying that you can't make too much money in the market, bro. There's limitless, but our limiting beliefs on how either we're growing up with trading or growing up with how we think about our money, right? It's different to some people who maybe grew up in on welfare or something compared to somebody who grew up in $1 million household. The way they perceive money and how accessible money is to them comes from that, right? If you see that a lot of people around you have a lot of money, your mental is going to believe that money is easy to be accessible. You either sell a few things or do a few things. But if you maybe grew up, with a family that's on welfare, the way you perceive money is different. Do we like, okay, what's a little bit harder? It's a lot of hard work, dedication, right? So when money starts to come into your account and you don't feel like you worked hard, you don't feel like you deserve that money because of the way you perceived money from your upbringing, right? So your limiting beliefs are also keeping you from scaling up in your trading as well, right? So listen, so okay, I said all this. So now, okay, said all this. So what do I do? What do I do, right? How can I get over this plateau? How can I effectively start scaling up without blowing myself out? How can I scale up without blowing my whole account? Listen, scale up small, gradually, but intentionally. So, what I mean by that is you are not just going to say, hey, I maybe was trading with 1,000 shares. Now I'm going to trade with 10,000 shares. No, brother, you have not worked your nervous system up in order to handle the emotion that will come to you from trading 10,000 shares. You have to go small. You can't say you have to think long term when you comes to scaling up. You can't say this week I'm trading this many shares or this many contracts and next week I'm going to double it. Bro, it doesn't work that way. You have to give yourself time in order to come accustomed and build your risk tolerance up to what you're going to try to trade, right? So yeah, that's one. Gradual, cons- be consistent with being gradual, perfect every single level that you go to, and but once you can get once you have no emotional connection again to the trades that you put on, to the ticks up and down, you became just, you're seeing it for what it is and not what you want it to be, right? Seeing it for what it is and not what you want it to be, then that's when you move on to the next level. How to know when to move on to the next level is where the second step comes in. Journaling. Journaling. You have to know where your weak spots are. I'm not talking about no just putting numbers. Oh, I got in at 80 and I got out at 120. Bro, no, you need to understand, just because you won that trade, did you actually grow as a trader, right? Did you actually do the things you were intending on doing? Were your emotions in check? Did you go by your rules? All of that goes into journaling. Understanding, hey, bro, did I overtrade? Did I hesitate? Did I get out at the wrong time? Did I get in at the wrong time? Was I questioning myself during the trade, right? Did I leave so much money on the table? How did I feel when I left money on the table? How did I feel missing a trade? All of these things, those are your weak spots. Those are the spots that you have to identify, and you cannot identify them if you're staying in the same spot. If you are trading with the same lot size, the same contract size, the same share size, you are never going to know where your weak spots are because you're comfortable all the time. Sorry, I'm not trying to give me, but you are comfortable all the time, right? Again, start to envision yourself in this life that you haven't envisioned. Everybody, you know how it feels to live in the life you are right now, wherever that may be. There's some people who trade with one or two shares at a time, or one or two contracts at a time, and you know, a good day for them is winning $300, $200. That is great. Envision yourself winning $2,000, $3,000, and envision that is what can come from dedication. Not that, oh man, that's a wish. No, that is a reality. If you are able to put on trades, look at it from a percentage standpoint. If you are able to make a 20% trade on $100 trade, is $20, right? Doing the exact same thing with 10,000, it starts to add up. You're doing the exact same thing. All you have to do is feel the exact same way you do about these smaller trades, feel the exact same way about bigger trades. But the only way is to go step by step by step, gradually going up to the necessary amount. And there's no amount that is your ceiling is what you perceive for yourself. Back to perception. Your ceiling is what you perceive for yourself. What is the difference from somebody putting on a 50% trade here at their desk from their phone, for $1,000 that's, maybe was in their brokerage account, than a floor trader trading 50,000 shares and getting 20%. They are both trading, but it's at different levels. And the thing is, if you already have the skill, you have the potential to make great money. Let me say this again. If you have the skill of trading, knowing when to get in the trade, knowing when to get out, that's the skill, right? But the wisdom behind it, knowing how you are feeling, right? Understanding yourself, controlling yourself. That is how you grow exponentially within your trading. And you will start to implement this within your trading right now. Scale up intentionally to find out your weak spots, attack them, strengthen them, write them down, figure out why you may feel like this. A lot of the reasons why we feel some way within trading don't always go back to our trading. It might go back to something that happened in school or at work or however the case may be. We translate it and we put it to trading as well, but trading is limitless. We cannot put the limits of society onto the limits of our trading, right? That's when you put that glass ceiling for yourself, right? So I hope you like this video. Not gonna make it too long. And if you like this for more, like, comment, subscribe, and hey, let's keep going. Let's keep being disciplined. Love you guys.